Hello, everyone. As promised, we are going to take a look at the inauguration day of Donald J. Trump, January the 20th, which is actually a very interesting date because it is squashed between the Saturn-Venus conjunction on the 19th and the Pluto-Sun conjunction on the 21st. It's right in the middle of it, so it has both conjunctions quite prominent in the inauguration chart. And we are going to take a look at what he will achieve. Let's put it this way. And I have to tell you that we Hungarians really liked his 4-year presidency, and I never said any bad words about any previous presidents except for Biden, and it wasn't against his personal personal personality. Let's put it this way. I was outraged by the fact that here is this really old man who is fighting with dementia, and the administration was posing him as a president. It was outrageous, and this is what made me really mad. It made me mad on two levels. Number one, that this could be done to the American people, and number two, that this could be done to the birds. And the fact that the Americans, and actually the American administration and America as a superpower, lost its prestige in the so-called global South, among the countries of the global South, is because of that fact. The fact that he was not looked at as a president, he was looked at as a puppet. And this is really sad. And actually, that's why I think that the Biden presidency was a very, very bad 4 years for the world, especially if you look at the Ukrainian war. Which is a proxy war. And now everyone sees it. So that's the problem. And at the same time, I'm not, you guys can vote for whoever you want. What to me was interesting was the fact that during his first presidency, he came in as a loose cannon. No one really thought that he was coming in. Everyone was laughing at him. Everyone thought that Hillary Clinton is going to be the winner. And then the world woke up for the fact that Donald J. Trump is the president. So that was a mistake, okay? And that's what legacy media and politicians and Wall Street kept saying that it was a mistake. And so, of course, he couldn't win the second time. And this time, the reason why, although there were three attempts against his life, murder attempts, one was really serious. This time, it was a fight between Wall Street and Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley won. And this is a takeover. So for the last 200 years, it was Wall Street, not 200. Well, I don't know. Well, I should have known when the stock exchange opened but anyhow, so it was the financial background that always had someone to become president. And now Silicon Valley took over this task or this duty or this potential. So that's why it was very interesting. And of course, I know that Trump is a big baby. He's he's a narcissist. Yes, he is a he is a he is very rhapsodic because he's not very consistent. But the fact remains that during his 4-year presidency, there was no war between the United States and the rest of the world, and for that I honor him. And I'm hoping that he will end the major wars in the world, and he will not start another war. Let's hope it. So this is the Trump inauguration, and the oath will be taken at noon in Washington D.C. in the Capitol, Capitolium, sorry, on January the 20th. And this is the noon chart, so you can actually change it if it. I'm not going to watch it, so if you watch it and take a look at what time it will happen, but it usually occurs at noon. I did go through the ceremony checklist, and I saw that even 2 days earlier there was something, and then he will attend on something else on the 19th. So there are many ceremonies, but I think the main issue, the main moment is the oath. And as you can see, we have, of course, 10th house, midheaven sun, which is always like this when you have a noon chart. But this is an applying Sun-Pluto conjunction. So that's very, very different. And of course, we have a Taurus ascendant. So Venus is the chart ruler with Saturn. The Saturn-Venus conjunction is already separating, but still very tight. It was exact the previous day, actually. And this is a supportive conjunction. So Saturn is actually supporting Venus. And in the 11th house, friends and those associations and groups and contracts will be very prominent and very important. There's also a Neptune North Node conjunction. This conjunction is going to be exact only in February. It's a doubly applying conjunction, right on the cusp of the 12th. And this is what Trump attempted during his first presidency to drain the swamp, to get rid of the deep state. And that Neptune North Node conjunction kind of describes his wish, his hope, his drive to kind of do this ideological cleansing. And of course, you can see the Aries and Chiron conjunction in the 12th. This deep state has run but it was run by the military-industrial complex, which wants to sell its weapons and wants to have huge profits. And this is something that Trump was a big obstacle. So that's one thing. What I really don't like too much is the Mars IC conjunction. This is a Cancer Mars and Cancer IC, which might suggest, which a lot of people say, that there could be civil war situations throughout the U.S. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope this is defending the home. The first house Uranus again shows that there will be big changes or disruptions, and the second house Jupiter shows that economically or financially it will hopefully be a good era for the Americans. And there are other interesting conjunctions besides the ones that I already enumerated. There's this fourfold conjunction between Asteroid, revolt against injustice, Mercury, communication, Dark Moon Lilith, I will do whatever I have to do or whatever I damn well please, and I don't care even if you curse me. And Pallas Athena, the wise girl. So that's going to be the apex of a T-square, cardinal T-square, on the other side of which is the triple conjunction of moon. It's a Libra moon, a vertex, and black moon Lilith. The moon in Libra shows diplomacy, shows that it has a diplomatic flavor. It has and Trump is a businessman, so he really enjoys and prefers talks and negotiations, and that's perfectly described by this moon. But at the same time, the vertex means that he won't actually be able to rule those. But the black moon Lilith shows that he will have, or the administration will have courage, stamina, and endurance to do what's right. Let's hope it's what it's going to be. Okay. If we look at the hemisphere emphasis, there are 7 planets on the upper hemisphere and only 5 on the lower, so it's almost a balance. And the personal planets are nicely distributed, so it will be things that will stay hidden, but at the same time come out to the surface, and he will be open to meet the outside world. There are 9 planets on the personal side, on the ascendant side, which means that this administration will try to keep the reins in its own hands, and only 3 on the other side, on the antagonist or alliances side. But out of the 3, 2 are personal planets, the moon and Mercury. So it will need to have negotiations. 4 cardinals, 4 fixed, and 4.5 mutables, very nicely distributed. Whatever he starts or commences will need to finish, but at the same time, he will be able to make changes. And what bothers me a little bit is the lack of fire. Actually, whenever you see this in a chart, that there's no fire, only Chiron, then it means that this element is wounded. It's not just missing, it's wounded. So it's a very big emphasis on it's missing. And the only fire, actually, now that I'm talking about this, the US Sibley chart doesn't have any fire, maybe the ascendant, something like that. So, but fire is the element of inspiration, but also the fire of fire is the element of transformation. So that's going to be wounded. Air and water are the leading elements, and that poses a problem because air is thinking and water is feeling. Thinking and feeling are mutually exclusive psychological modes. You either feel or you think. You don't do two. Okay, that is also not very good. There's a disseminating moon. And this is something that I like because disseminating moon gives you knowledge, teaches you something, and the sun and the moon have an aspect. It's a bisextile, a double mysticism, which I was very happy to see that. And of course, let's hope it's going to be like this. Okay, here's a very interesting planetary picture. The main structure of which is a cardinal T square, involving Chiron in Aries, opposite the moon vertex and black moon in Libra. So the wounds will be opposed by by the people or by the whole emotional flavor of the administration. Another thing, I always wonder why is it not called a government? It's called the administration. Who are they administering and to whom and why? This is very strange to me. Anyhow, at the apex, you have this fourfold conjunction, which is very, very interesting and has a big emphasis on negotiations, wisdom, and the daredevil, that I will do whatever I damn well please, and I don't care even if you curse me. It's going to be interesting to see. This T square is dissolved by Ceres. Ceres in the 10 in Aquarius. And no one, and I really repeat it with emphasis, no one can actually question that Trump really wants to do something big and good for his own nation. The whole MAGA idea, Make America Great Again, is about this. I know it was horribly downlooked by the Democrats and actually even demonized. But that's what every leader should do, to make his own country great. That's their duty. That is why we elect them. So there's nothing wrong with it. And in Aquarius, it means some sort of renewal. I really hope that there's going to be a patriotic renewal. And mark my words, it's funny how in the last 5 to 8 years, you saw these idiotic woke movies in Hollywood. And now that they are talking about a major war between China and the United States, which will occur in the next 10 years, you will see that Hollywood will make a complete round, a 180-degree turnaround, and they will actually start to produce heroic movies, and heroism and patriotism will again be big in the United States and in fact everywhere, because for that you need soldiers. And it's funny because I always ask my own students, would you die for your country? No one would die even for our own country. Would you die for the EU, for the European Union? And everyone is laughing at me. So I really don't understand why Macron and the German chancellor and everyone else, the idiots leading the EU countries, talk about war. Who are you going to fight with? I mean, who? Who are you? Who is going to fight? No one will fight. And you don't have the weapons, you don't have the peoples, and you're talking about war. Brilliant. Anyhow, so that's what it is. That's what Ceres is. It's dissolving the tension here. There's also a mini trapeze, the base of which is the cardinal square between Chiron and this fourfold conjunction. And you have two sextiles in the inner energy, dissolving the tension really. And the top of the trapeze, which is really a platform, but I call it trapeze anyway, because you have the three semi-sextiles rounding it. So the top of the trapeze, which is always a stage where you stand and give your talk or perform something or teach something, and it's the Ceres Venus Saturn semi-sextile. So your home, your financial abilities, and your steadfastness is there. And there's also a 10th triangle right here involving the moon vertex, black moon square, the fourfold conjunction, and at the apex of which is Astrea, the karma breaker, which is actually good for us because there's, as I said, the air is not air, fire is very, very wounded in this chart. And whenever we have another planet or asteroid in the missing or wounded element, we are happy. And this is Astrea, the karma breaker. So there's still the fire, the transforming energy there. The problem is that, of course, asteroids don't rule signs, and thus they don't rule houses. So that's what it is. And if you look at the transcendental celestial objects, on Mercury, Pallas Athena, Lily, Dark Moon, you have fantasia, fantasy. Yeah, you need a big fantasy to be able to understand what's going on. Plotinus, who is a philosopher, Rugbat, which is Alpha Sagittarius, describing steadfastness and steadiness and strength, according to Bernard Brady. On Venus, Saturn, sorry, I left it in Hungarian because I did this in Hungarian as well. On Venus, Saturn, you have Akhenaten, the pharaoh who chose the sun disk as his leading monotheistic deity instead of the polytheistic version of previous Egyptian cosmogony. And Akhenaten is so someone who is renewing something, who is bringing in some brand new ideology. Nessus, besides black magic and also healing, deep healing, it also is linked to unburied corpse, so unburied dead. It's a nasty centaur in many ways, but it also brings profound healing. So it's a double whammy in any case. Aherna, which is Alpha Eridanus. Eridanus is the largest of the constellations in the sky. It's the celestial river, which starts somewhere at the belt stars of Orion, so very close to the celestial equator, and it is winding down all the way, and reaches at the South Pole its brightest star, which is Aherna. This is the Alpha star, and in comic astrology, it describes the hero's journey who leaves his equilibrium, his balance, and starts on a quest, and has all kinds of trials and tribulations, and finally arrives at the big bright present that he's receiving from his own life. So that's Ahernar on Venus Saturn. That's good. So it does simply suggests that yes, there might be the chance that Trump reaches his goals. On Chiron, you have Nymphe, which is an elemental, and Sisyphus, very hard and futile work. That is not very promising, but we will see. And on Ceres, you have Galahad, the knight in shining armor, Electra, the proxy war monger, and Chariclo, who is Chiron's wife, who used to be a nymph, but she turned herself. She actually transformed herself into the first female centaur to become his wife, and actually they have a child. So that's the complete transformation for the sake of a loved one or the sake of the spouse, which is not always an easy thing. And on Black Moon, you have Aristotle, another philosopher. And on Astrea, you have Sophia and Graphias, which is Zeta Scorpio, so the Zeta star of Scorpio. And Sophia is, of course, the goddess of wisdom. And here's how Trump feels on Inauguration Day. The first five, the personal planets, are describing his mood. And out of Jupiter, these are transits, really, so long-term transits. On this, here's Trump's this is Trump's placement, and these are down are the day's placements. The moon is interesting because there's an exact moon sextile becoming exact in the next couple of hours. And there's also a moon Jupiter conjunction just 2 hours prior to the inauguration ceremony, and a trine to Uranus, and also a conjunction to Chiron, but that is 6 hours, 7 hours earlier. So that is a wide conjunction. The moon travels approximately 1 degree every 2 hours. So this is how you can look at it. And also there's the applying conjunction to the North Node. He reaches his goal. This is how he feels. He feels good about it, lucky, renewed. The pain has gone from 7 hours earlier. The sun is making a quincunx to the ascendant, so it's truly calming. This is how he feels that he's there. Venus doesn't have too many good aspects, interestingly enough. There's an applying square to moon. Not everyone is very happy about this, obviously. There's also a moon, there's also a Venus-Uranus square showing, and it's actually exact, showing that there's some sort of disruption as well. Mars is on Saturn. That's really good. So it gives the obstacles are lifted away. There's also a Mars mid-heaven sextile. So clearly this is a big win for him. There's also Jupiter-Pluto sextile, which is the super success combination. He was very successful with his past 4 years, really. There's all that, and from here on, these are transits, long-term transits. Uranus is exactly sextiling his Saturn, doing away with the obstacles, and on his midheaven. Clearly, this is a brand new phase in his life. Neptune is trining Venus, already separating, but it's still there, and also quincunxing Mars, which means that the knight in shining armor. This is a bidirectional quincunx, so it works like a trine. So Mars, Neptune is always the Grail Knight aspect, when you're fighting for something, a noble cause. This is exactly how he feels. There's a Chiron moon trine applying, and it indicates that, yeah, this was very, very important. So a wound is being an emotional wound is being healed by this inauguration. And there's one more that is probably important. The North Node is making an exact quincunx to the ascendant. So this is clearly an auspicious moment for him from every sense. So this is it. This is the inauguration day. And in the last couple of minutes, I showed how he may feel about this. It's clearly a big win for him. But as I said, it's not just his win, his victory, but it's also the Silicon Valley's victory over Wall Street. And it will be an interesting 4 years to watch. And we might look back 4 years later when he gets out of office to see how this particular chart is working. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.